Elton Butterfield. How y'all doing today? Got quite a bit going on. Figured I'd do a live stream out here in the Franklin Mountains. We can talk about it. I'll wait for some of you guys to hop on in here before we get started. I got brought my scooter out here. It's been sitting in the garage. I needed a reason to take it out and make sure everything was still working. I got a Yamaha Vino. Thing gets about 125 miles per gallon, and it gets me where I need to go. That's for sure. But I don't see anybody in here yet. No comments. One thumb up. Nobody's in here. But there's quite a bit to talk about. A lot of potential sabotage. A lot more potential sabotage going on. We've got more contamination in America's waters. We've got the let me see. Let me check the chat here. We've got the event down there at St. Pete. We got another event along the Mississippi, and then one getting ready to happen in the Hudson River. So we'll wait for a couple more of you guys to get in here, and we'll start talking about it. I'm really concerned about these things because most people don't have the ability to handle this kind of a situation. They don't have the tools that are needed to filter their water. You know, you've got all kinds of toxic chemicals being spilled into these fresh water sources. You know, we're talking about things like precursors to Teflon, PCBs, dioxins, furans, these forever chemicals that don't go away. And most of them, you know, you can't even get them out by distillation because the chemicals are volatile. You know, so if you think you're gonna just make some kind of distillation apparatus out of your kettle and some copper pipe and everything be a-okay, you're wrong. You know, you're mistaken. And that's, you know, that's the main reason why I'm concerned about this. You know, I made that video showing people, or you know, explaining to people how to take care of the situation, and it's only got like 100 views. You know, nobody really wants to talk about it. I reached out to a whole bunch of different prepper channels trying to get that critical information out to them, trying to get the information to them so that they can give it to their audience. You know, I'm a really small channel. I only got 1,000 subs, but you know, I've got the knowledge that I want to share with people, but it's just I can't get it out there, man. And no matter how hard I try, I tried to reach out to Pinball, didn't hear back from Prepper Nurse or Patriot Nurse. Tried to reach out to Adapt 2030. Tried to reach out to Southern Prepper a couple times because usually Southern Prepper's pretty good with responding back to you, or at least talking about what you email him in his boots on the ground. But nothing, man. And this information's critical. Like I said, it's really critical. You know, we had that spill along the Mississippi uh, just the other day. A bunch of hydrofluoric acid. These are precursors to, you know, chemicals that really wreak havoc on the environment. I mean, you're talking about forever chemicals like Teflon and what was the other one, like Prozac in the water. I mean, they really. I got a couple people in here now. I am and Mindy. How's everybody doing? Yeah, yeah. So they're putting Prozac in the water now because they just want you to forget about everything that's going on, huh? Drink that. Oh, I got a call coming in. Hold on a sec. Let me uh, let me go ahead and respond to this real quick. All right. Um, but no, there's, you know, you got that spill along the Mississippi, and now there's another spill down there in St. Pete. Oh man, I can't. Hold on, my wife is calling me. One minute. I'm gonna have to end the stream, I think, and then start again. But we're gonna go ahead and talk about these things. So just give me a minute. I got to give my wife a call back. Sorry about that. Wanted to talk about. I'm up here on the mountain. She doesn't know where I'm at, so she's probably like, "Where are you at?" Anyways, yeah, that's exactly. She sent me a text. So hold on. Let me. I think I could text her in the live stream. Let me text her real quick. Still there? Everybody's still there? All right, so let's go ahead and talk about some of the things going on. Now you got that massive untreated waste spill that's going on, or that happened in St. Pete the other day. They didn't even say what that stuff was, and there were 2 of the 4 tests that came back above the limits, saying that the limits were not adequate. It was below limits, and there's a lot of people that go on that beach right there. St. Pete Beach is really popular, and there's a lot of people that do fishing there along St. John's too. So, something to keep your eye out on. I mean, now, granted, 7,500 gallons of untreated waste is nowhere near what's going on in Ohio right now, but guys, they ought to have gotten truckloads of activated carbon and made dams in the river right away, but they didn't do that. And all of the dioxins, PCBs, and God knows what else just kept making its way down the Ohio River. So this is going to be something catastrophic that multiple generations down the line are going to have to deal with, unless we come up with some insane new technology to clean up waterways. And now you've got in the Hudson River, Holtec is getting ready to release like 1 million gallons of water that has tritium in it. It's nuclear wastewater. And they're saying, oh, it's not going to be a big deal because tritium's half-life is 12 and a half years. Yeah, well, 12 and a half years, in order for all of, with a half-life of 12 and a half years, for all of it to break down, it's still like 60 to 80 years. It's going to take, for all of it to totally break down. I understand it's not, tritium's not as, deadly as some other radiation, but still it's radiation. Why would you want to release it into a river where people fish and they fish there, they eat the fish from there, and then it's going to go out into the base. It does, it just seems to me like they're doing all this stuff all at the same time on purpose for a reason. And so that's why I harp on this channel. I continuously harp for you to get your water squared away. Okay. Your food and tools and kits and stuff like that, bug out bags, all that stuff is great. And I'm not saying it doesn't have its place in prepping, but when it really comes down to it, your preps ought to be focused on your ability to source water, to store water, to clean water, and to recycle water, right? So, and these events happening all along the Mississippi are, an exact, example. It's a perfect example of why it's important. I mean, you can go, like, everyone says, you can go 30 days without food, but only 3 days without water, right? Can you make this? Do you know how to do it? If everybody goes to the store all at the same time for water filters, are you going to be squared away? I mean, can you make activated carbon? We might talk about that on this live stream. Let's actually talk about how to make activated carbon the easy way, right? There's a lot of stuff on YouTube about how to make activated carbon, and most of that information is just noise. Matter of fact, it's actually that most of the people that are trying to show you how to make activated carbon on YouTube, they're actually doing you a disservice. They're actually taking carbon and making it worse, right? Cody's Lab even showed that. He even displayed how some of the methods that people show you on YouTube will actually make the carbon less adsorptive, right? And what most people say, and this is even on major YouTube channels that have millions of subs, and it's even on like WikiHow. What they say is you take your carbon and you put it in lemon juice. And then after the lemon juice, after you put it in lemon juice for like 24 hours, you wash it with distilled water, and then it's activated. Or you dry it off in the oven at like 250 degrees Celsius, and it's activated. That doesn't work. It clogs everything up. And Cody's lab even showed it, proved it, right? The easy way to make activated carbon is to just start a fire with hard wood, right? And wait until most of the hard wood turns into charcoal, and literally just pour water on it, right? What happens is the water gets down into that carbon, and it instantly turns into steam, and it creates these little fissures inside of the carbon. All right. And then you can you can scrape all that carbon off. Okay. And you can break it down into different sizes. You can filter it through a screen or whatever. And you can use that as a decent activated carbon filter. Now, activated carbon is very important to know how to make. It's very important in the event that your water is contaminated. Why is that? Because activated carbon can get most stuff out that even reverse osmosis can't get out. Reverse osmosis cannot get out toxins that are produced from toxic algae blooms, right? That's why these toxic algae blooms are like a major problem, and a lot of money's been thrown at filtering out like lake water that is contaminated with toxins from algae blooms. And really the only solution to that is activated carbon, right? And we know if you're a student of scripture and you understand prophecy, there's going to be a time where the fresh water is going to be contaminated. It's going to be made bitter. And so you have to know how to deal with that kind of stuff. That's why I'm explaining to you, the easy way to make activated carbon, right? Hardwood, get your hardwood, like even maple, right? Maple would work. Out here in the desert, we got mesquite. Mesquite will work. You get yourself a nice good fire going and wait until the hardwood starts to turn to charcoal on the top, and just put it out with water. Just clean water, put it out. The water will go inside of the charcoal. It'll steam. Okay. When that steam comes up, it will, create little fissures inside of the carbon. And that's you've essentially what you've done at that point is you've increased the surface area of the carbon. And because of that, it will adsorb, not absorb, but adsorb more stuff, right? And then you can scrape it off. You can make it to the right size that you want. And then just, if you want to make it even better, boil it in water, because there's still going to be some volatile chemicals because it's wood. There's going to be some volatile chemicals in it, some oils and stuff like that. You want to, get it clean all the oils off just with distilled water, whatever, and then dry it out, put it in an oven, bake it, dry it out, and then there you go. It's gonna. And there was a guy on YouTube that even showed, he experimented with that type of activated carbon. I think it was Way Out West blog. Go check out his channel. Search easy way to make activated carbon, or activated carbon Way Out West, something like that. And he's even got a video of it, and he shows the difference between just regular charcoal, right, and then charcoal that's activated in that way. And then he used, I can't remember, he used another type. But Cody's lab even showed all of the ways that people on the internet tell you to activate the carbon with an acid or a base. He did like 5 different examples. And this was like a year ago. He did 5 different examples. One was the lemon juice. One was the just different acids and bases that he used. And then one was literally just like distilled water. He literally just boiled the carbon, cleaned it essentially of the volatile chemicals and the oils and resins that are in there by boiling it, and then baked everything and tested them side by side. and literally the one that he cleaned with distilled water did the best out of all the ones that everybody on the internet was telling you to do. And so, it goes to show, like, take everything with a grain of salt. Make sure you test these things out on your own. But aside from the water, all the things going on with the water, I mean, we've got a lot of stuff that we need to worry about in South America too. I don't know if you guys saw my videos just the other day. We had 3 fires at Pemex all the same day, within the same few hours. Veracruz had two different plants in Veracruz went up in flames, and then the one in Deer Park went up in flames. And the same, about 24 hours before that, you had a bridge collapse in Ecuador, and that bridge was carrying the two main pipelines in Ecuador that carry all of their fuel. Well, now they're offline. The whole country is offline, right? They've got they produce about 500,000 barrels of oil a day, and now it's offline. They're the 5th largest oil producer in South America, and now they're offline, right? So, it's very suspicious. We've got all these things going on. Now you've got Saudi Arabia that just went to Ukraine, and they pledged $400 million to Zelensky. If that's not going to piss off Russia, then I don't know what will, right? Because the Ukrainians just took out, I don't know if you heard about this one yet. It just came out. It's on Zero Hedge. The Ukrainians just penetrated Belarus. They went into Belarus, and they took out an A-50U spy plane, a Russian spy plane in Belarus, and they were successful. Let me change the view. You guys need to see this mountain that I'm sitting. Let me change the view a little bit. I don't know. We're up here at the Franklin Mountain. Let me go ahead and change that view a little bit for you. I don't know if I can stabilize the camera. This is Franklin Mountains in El Paso. This is where we're live streaming right now. But there ain't much here, but there's enough. Just got to know how to use it. So anyways, yeah, the Saudis are pledging. Is that the one behind your house? Yeah, I don't really want to go too far into where I live exactly, but we'll just say it's nearby. Yeah, it's definitely nearby. Let me pan the camera so you guys can see that. Yeah, those are the Franklin Mountains in El Paso. Yeah, so there's quite a few trails you can see. One of the trails back there. But yeah, but no, Iran's been selling their Shahed drones to Russia, and now the Iranians are pledging more support for the Russians in the Donbass, right? So, to counter that, the Saudis are pledging $400 million. They pledged $400 million to help Zelensky. Well, I don't think that's going to make Russia very happy. So you might see some arms deals from Russia to Iran for the sole purpose of scaring the Saudis into knocking it off, so to speak. I mean, and that's a very tense situation over there as it is. I mean, they produce 1/3 of the world's oil, the Saudis do, and the Iranians, they're not shy about saying that they want to take those oil fields from the Saudis, and they could do it, right? That country is going to be very easy to annihilate from Iranians' perspective. I mean, they're encircled. The Iranians have their allies in Yemen, well armed with those Shahed kamikaze drones. They've been using those Shahed kamikaze drones. They just attacked an oil tanker in the Arabian Sea last week. And so what's to say they won't continue to attack, private assets, corporate assets, right? You've got you've got Chevron and ConocoPhillips now that are trying. Well, Chevron got approval from the federal government to collect 3 million barrels of oil from Venezuela, and ConocoPhillips is trying to get approval too. So you're most likely going to see these two oil companies starting to collect oil from Venezuela, right? As to so that Venezuela can pay them back for the money that they owe them, right? Well, Iran is right there in Venezuela refurbishing the refineries right now, and they're going to be building new rigs off of the coast. So, if they have their arsenal of Shahed drones in Venezuela, those Chevron oil tankers and those ConocoPhillips oil tankers will be easy targets. They'll be easy targets. It's like putting a rabbit right in front of a coyote and not expecting the coyote to attack the rabbit, right? I mean, you're just asking for problems. So it would not surprise me one bit if the Iranians wait for the perfect moment to strike those oil tankers, and while they're at it, they might as well also take out the refineries along the Gulf Coast, right? The refineries in Louisiana and all along the coastline in Texas, because those Shahed drones have the range to do just that. They have the range to do just that. And if they wait until all those oil tankers are in a line in the Gulf, going from one port to another, and just sink them all at the same time and take out the refineries all at the same time, what could we do? We don't have the air defenses to stop something like that along our southern border. We just don't have that capability. I mean, we could have that capability, but we don't. It's just a reality of the situation. And it really concerns me, because we get a lot of the fish that you get in the grocery stores comes from that area as well. And so, if they sink all those oil tankers, destroy the water there, and not just destroy the water, but destroy our private corporations' ability to transport oil like that, then guys, we're in for a pretty big hurting. And most people underestimate Iran, but fact of the matter is they're in the top 10 militaries, man. They're actually really strong. They're really powerful. They're really capable adversary, and we should not underestimate them. Our southern border is wide open, and I've got friends down here on the border that are telling me that they're getting people every day come across with fake Turkish passports. They're definitely from the Middle East. They don't know where they're from in the Middle East, but they're coming across with fake Turkish passports. So what does that tell you? I mean, it wouldn't surprise me at all if one day we wake up and there's fire all around. Wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean, we're waking up every day and one train derailed over here, another train derailed over there, 5 or 6 semi trucks spilled a bunch of chemicals on this highway over here, and it went into this lake or this river over there, and a bunch of untreated wastewater spilled into St. Pete Beach. And I mean, guys, it's every day. I mean, it's every day now. At what point do people wake up and say that this is not a coincidence, right? At what point do you wake up and say, all right, let's lock down, let's do something about it. Let's figure out, well, maybe not lock down, but I mean, do something about it. Let's figure out who's doing this, right? And they, there's still a lot of questions I have about what happened in Ohio that haven't been answered yet. And why did they respond in the way that they did? And we're not talking about the potential. Why is it not being talked about on the news about the potential that those wheel bearings on the train were sabotaged? I mean, that is basic sabotage 101, right? Just letting grease out of bearings, right? Taking the grease out of bearings or loosening up the bolts so that the grease comes out while it's in operation. I mean, literally, you can. I mean, they've got the old OSS sabotage manuals on archive.org that you can read for free. I mean, they're historic documents now. That kind of stuff was in the the manuals, the sabotage manuals, how to derail a train. I mean, how to sabotage stuff, make it look like an accident when in reality you're the one that's responsible for it. Why aren't we even talking about those things? Right? I mean, it was, for crying out loud, it was the wheel bearings that gave. And I mean, that kind of stuff is easy to sabotage. And they don't even want to talk about it. So I don't know, guys. But yeah, there's a lot going on. I mean, even in Israel, in the West Bank, you had I think it was like 2 days ago now, you had a Palestinian gunman in the West Bank that killed two Israeli settlers. And then now the Israelis started burning stuff down, lighting cars on fire over there and lighting houses on fire. It's a big mess, man. Things are heating up. Tensions are always escalating, but we need to be prepared. And like I said all the time, I always harp on this: get your water squared away. If you can't make this, you're not going to last. And that's why in this video I explained twice. I explained 2 times in this video. If you haven't already heard me talk about how to make activated carbon the easy way, rewind this video, watch it over. I explained 2 times the easy way to make activated carbon and how not to make activated carbon. The way that some people on YouTube tell you to make activated carbon will actually make your charcoal worse. You might as well just use charcoal, right? Because it would do better than if you were to try to activate it with lemon juice. These kinds of skills are going to be important to have in the future. Prophecy definitely acknowledges that point. So anyways, guys, let me get to your questions and see what you guys have to say. What's in the headlines you guys want to talk about? Let me read through some of these comments. I haven't gotten to the comments at all. Let's scroll up here. Cowboy Roy, spot on target. Thanks Roy. Really appreciate you showing up today. Marilyn, good to see you. Daryl Calhoun, Chevron, the mark so-called because it looks like the rafters of the shallow roof from Latin Caper goat. Okay, I didn't know that. Likely the connection between the goats and rafters being the animal's angular hind legs. I'll have to take a look at that. That's interesting. The Watchman said already there's been more explosions and toxins everywhere. There's a green agenda as a joke. Yeah, yep, but Watchman, you know the end of the story. We ultimately win in the end. It's going to be a lot of tribulation in between and in the meantime, so got to prepare for it. Sulfur dioxide and dioxins. Yep, that's right. Activated carbon can take that stuff out too, so you got to learn how to make it, or at least get tons of it. Please see after Doug's video. Okay, I'll check that out after that one. Mindy, Build Back Better. Yeah, during his campaign, Joe Biden was talking about Build Back Better quite a bit, and then first day in office, he ended all of those leases along the coast, all of those oil leases along the coasts of the United States. He, first day in office, stopped it all. Stopped Keystone XL. I mean, all kinds of stuff. It was, obvious who he is and who he's working for, because it ain't the American people. They built the railroads next to the rivers. Yeah, exactly. They built the railroads next to the river, and they were spraying, for the longest time, they were spraying Agent Orange along the railroads to keep the weeds and the trees down, and all that stuff leached into where, right into the rivers, right into our ecosystem. Take Sabotage 101 in community college. Yeah, right. Yeah. Go. You can go get the manual for free on archive.org. It's it's a historic document. It's only like 2 pages long, because they had to get that information behind enemy lines, and so they put all as much information as they could in such a small format, so that if the couriers got caught, they could literally just eat the paper and nothing. So it was very interesting, but those old manuals really say a lot. OSS CIA history is a mystery. Not so much, actually. Not so much. But yeah, it's definitely questionable history, that's for sure. America's completely asleep. We're just a small minority here on YouTube. You're right. You're absolutely right about that, Watchman. But I think the people who are aware have a good head on our shoulders, and as long as we take Paul Revere's example when the time is right, we'll be okay. You know, we need more Paul Revere's, you know, than in his day. In his day, it only took one, but now we're dealing with a much bigger threat. It's more pervasive threat. It's everywhere, and so you know we really need to at least be ready to round up our neighbors if the time comes, because it seems as though the time is coming and it's getting closer. If they're like the railroaders around here, it takes at least 5 to hold one shovel while the other 10 stand there and watch. I've seen that out here on the roads too when they're working on the roads. It's ridiculous. You see one grown man with gray hair doing all the work, and a bunch of big bodies around sitting around drinking coffee and standing and watching and pointing. You know, it's ridiculous. And they get top dollar. You know, they get paid $25 an hour. It's that city taxpayer money too. They don't care. They don't care. Let's see. Like I said, the green agenda is the pale horse ride, and I'm right there with you. I think that their flag, the green flag, indicates the pale horseman. I'm right there with you, Watchman. I think we're pretty much on the same page about that. First time here, just got here. How, I don't know. Greta Dies, good to see you. Thanks for commenting. Go and check out the video earlier where we talked about how to make activated carbon the easy way. If you don't know about activated carbon, that's what they have in your water filters. It gets out all kinds of chemicals, toxins, pollutants, and things like that. And there's a lot of misinformation on YouTube regarding how to make activated carbon. So, you know, it's a really important skill to have, especially if you're a student of prophecy and you understand that in the end times, 1/3 of the world's fresh water sources will be polluted and people who drink it will die. So that's why, you know, I'm giving you the knowledge here on this live stream so that you can at least be able to make that resource or make that tool in the event that you need it. So let's see who else we got here. Daryl Calhoun, Mike Adams, you and Doc did a good video this weekend about Ohio and the blasting CSP found in yard 1/4 mile from the incident. No explanation for that. Yeah, I didn't see those two videos you're referring to, but I appreciate it, Marilyn. I'll have to go check it out. I tried to reach out to Mike Adams and have him at least review the information that I put out, and to try to, you know, resubmit that in the public domain. But he didn't. You know, I haven't gotten any responses from anyone regarding the information that I put out. Very few views on that information. I wish I was able to, you know, bring that kind of information and knowledge to a larger audience, but as it stands right now, I just don't have the subs. I don't have the audience. I don't have the platform to do it. You know, I want to help people, but you know, you work with what you got. You guys are my little soldiers out there. If you want to share my videos, help get the word out, that's on you. I'm not gonna beg you to do it. I ask you to do it though. You know, it's up to you whether you want to do it or not. Paul Revere 2.0. Fallen angels aren't coming; they are here. I agree. I agree. You know, if you look at the areas which are primarily affected by these potential sabotage events, they're predominantly conservative areas. These are areas that are predominantly opposed to the New World Order agenda, right? The people that live there have had their property handed down from generation to generation. Ranchers and farmers and people that have worked the land for several generations, right? And that kind of stuff can't exist in the New World Order utopia that they want to build, right? They want to get those people off their land. They want to destroy their land, or well, first of all, they want to get those people in debt to the point to where they can't keep their land. They got to sell it back to the banks, or to the point to where the banks can just get it for free, basically. And if they can't do that, then they want to destroy the soil on the plants so that none of the animals can eat the resources on the fields, or that you can't plant anything on the fields, right? Those are their two main avenues of approach at trying to enslave everybody in those areas, and they're doing it. They're doing it. It is an active conflict. It's an active war. And, if you have ever read the Geneva Conventions, which I would advise you to read the Geneva Conventions, if you've ever read the Geneva Conventions, you'll know that it's not required to openly declare war on somebody, right? They don't have to declare that they are engaged in a war. It's I don't know, I don't understand that, but it's one of the rules in the Geneva Conventions. You don't have to tell the other party that you're at war with them, right? But you have rights under the Geneva Convention that if those rights are violated, give you the authority to fight back legitimately under international law. And those rights have definitely been violated. I'm just going to leave it at that. If you want to find out more information about the rules of war, go read Geneva Conventions. Understand what the rules of war, international law, how it works and everything. So but anyways, yeah, let's get back to the comments. Also, someone else wrote the opposite direction of Paul Revere to warn those as well, a little more of our untold history. Yep. We need to do a deep dive into survival water preparedness. I agree, Wise Al. And, like I said in one of my previous videos, I don't think it's been adequately covered. And I might have to do a video on that because, from the study that I have done regarding that issue, it is a very broad issue that needs to be addressed. And I think water storage is one of the things that long-term water storage is one of the things that really needs to be addressed, because everybody understands, you get a few hundred gallons or 1,000 gallons of water, great, you're pretty much squared away if that's the location where you're staying, if you're not going to bug out somewhere, if you're just going to stay. But the problem is, how are you going to keep that water from growing algae? How are you going to prevent the toxins from building up in the water to the point to where you can't even use the water that you stored for yourself, right? Or if you have a well, how are you going to deal with the iron clogging up your filters and stuff? I mean, so there are a lot of little intricacies about that topic that are just, like I said, they're inadequately addressed. So I might do a playlist of things that I think you ought to know regarding water and every aspect of it, especially storing water. I'll just put this out here on the live stream. I think one of the most useful tools to have for water preservation is what I say, water preservation is a UV lamp. You can just get one for like a fish tank, and they make UV lamps that have like an automatic shut off too. And really, those will keep your water from getting fouled with like algae and things like that. And you can get another filter that you turn on every once in a while. I mean, even a pool filter will suffice. Just keep that thing running maybe 48 hours every couple of weeks, but keep the UV lamp on. That way, no bacteria and fungi and algae will grow in your water. It's a really simple solution for the problem. And the other thing that a UV lamp is good for is degrading some of these chemicals like dioxins, PCBs, and furans in your water. Like the UV lights, they will help to break apart the chlorine molecules that create the dioxins and PCBs. So just having those lamps is also helpful. Um, it's probably the cheapest way to do it. I mean, there are other ways to do it. I mean, you can get an ozone generator. You can get these really expensive filtration systems, but those things typically cost a lot more than just a UV lamp, a UV water lamp, like for a fish tank. And they have suctions. You can just suction it right onto the inside of your water tank with the little suction cups, and just turn it on every once in a while. Let it run, and it'll prevent the algae from taking hold. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right there. Let's see what else everybody says. Water preps are important. Yep. Here's a good documentary on nuclear waste. Thanks, Watchman. Go check it out. He's always looking out for you. The One World Religion Temple in UAE open for business in 2 days. We're going to see what God thinks about that, aren't we, Daryl? We're going to find out, huh? I have a feeling that Iran is going to run all over Saudi Arabia soon, but that's personal opinion. Don't need to go into all that because I don't have any proof. No, yawn. Be strong and of good courage. Absolutely, Daryl. Oh, Want to Be Love is on here. How you doing? Thanks for supporting the channel. It's getting hard some days seeing, but I will do my best. Thank you. Yep. God said, and Jesus said, don't let these things trouble you, right? Don't, you're going to hear of wars, rumors of wars, earthquakes, famines, pestilences, but don't let yourself be troubled. We're talking about it. We're trying to stay on top of everything because that's what we're looking for. We're looking for him returning, and when he returns, all of these things are going to be corrected. It's all he's going to correct it all. So we're waiting for that, waiting patiently. The only way to even think about dealing with the situations at hand is to be a complete loner living up in the woods, or having a large group of 50 or more that they can't just come in and control. That's I understand where you're coming from, Watchman, but I've read quite a few stories about people that were out on their own, trying to survive on their own, and they literally went insane, and they commit suicide, or something happened, they slip, fall, break something, and then that's it. Whereas if they were with a few people, they would have been able to get enough work done. They would have been able to have somebody else there to help them out when they needed it. I've read a lot of stories about like real SHTF. I'm not saying it can't be done, but I definitely advise against trying to do it on your own, because it's not preferable, and there are many things that can and will happen where you just need somebody else there to look out for you as well. So I would advise definitely get with a group. Precautions a guarantee. I'll send Mike's email asking him to bring you in for an interview. Marilyn, I'm not sure he's gonna want to do that, but if you think he might, it'd be an honor to go on his show, honestly. But I've reached out to him several times. I don't know that he's really interested, but we'll see. I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer. Al, I'm down to where I should just go get 50-foot sailboat and get the heck out. Yeah, Watchman, I hear you. Okay, but let's talk briefly about living on a boat. Okay, there's been a lot of people who've tried to do it. If you're going to go do it, you got to understand how to beat scurvy as a sailor, right? The number one problem you're going to deal with is getting access to clean drinking water, right? So you're going to need a desalinator, or you're going to need some kind of solar still, right? You can do it with a solar still, but it's not going to be as productive as like a desalinator, right? And then you're going to need to find a way to get vitamin C out there, right? Because without vitamin C, your collagen is going to break down. You're going to get scurvy. So that's why a lot of sailors back then, they would lose their teeth, and they have patches of hair missing, and they always have red sores and problems with their joints and things like that, because they didn't get vitamin C. They didn't bring vitamin C with them on their journey until someone figured out that coleslaw was a good thing to bring on board the ships, because coleslaw had a bunch of vitamin C, prevented scurvy. The sailors didn't like to eat it because they thought it tasted like garbage. But anyways, no, the easy way to get vitamin C in the ocean, if you don't bring it with you or if you run out, is plankton. It's a secret that not many people know. Plankton has vitamin C in it, and you can just get like a woman's stocking, and put a metal ring at the base of it. Connect that metal ring to a few ropes, and toss it out from your boat, and make sure you tie the rope to your boat, and then just let it drag along the surface of the water, and those women's pantyhose will collect the plankton on the top of the water, and there you go. You've got yourself some vitamin C in the form of plankton. But you got to be careful, because sometimes you'll get like baby jellyfish, and it can be not so pleasant going down your throat. Let's just put it that way. So that's one survival tip for you on this live stream. So hope you appreciate that one there. But yes, no, there are ways to get water out at sea if you don't have a desalinator. And one of the main methods is obviously catching rain, but the other one is sponging up dew that condenses on like the hood of the boat or the windows early in the morning. And that's why I always advise, if you go out on a boat out into the sea, you always want to bring a sponge with you so you can soak up the dew if you have to. Because I can't even tell you how many stories I've read about people getting lost at sea, or engine failure, or literally just ran out of gas, got stuck in a storm and blew off course. And this is pre GPS navigation days. Literally got stuck out in the ocean and not know how to survive. But most of the people that do survive, they survive because they know how to get water. There was one story about these Philippine men. They were a company. I can't remember what they were transporting, but they were from the Philippines, and their boat sunk on right next to a coral reef, and they were able to swim over the coral reef and stand up, but they were still like 25 miles from any coastline. So what they did is they sent divers down into their boat, and the divers went and got some of the kettles, and some copper pipe and some pots and pans, and they were able to fashion a distillation device. And so what they did is they built a platform on the coral reef with pieces of wood from the boat, and from that platform they lined it with sand, and then they continued to bring up wood from the boat, and they were able to distill water out. They had a large crew. They were able to distill enough water to keep many of their crew alive using that method. But there were no boats going by. They weren't getting rescued. So it came down to the point to where the captain and his son decided to swim to shore to get help, and he lost his son in that process. They had to swim 20 something miles to shore, and his son died just 1 mile away from the shore. He couldn't swim anymore, and he just sunk. These skills are really important to have. Water. I can't. I say this all the time, but I say it because it's important. Water is the most important thing to have squared away in your preps. Always is, always will be, because you never know what kind of situation you're going to be in. There could be a water line burst because of a snap freeze. Water tank contaminated because of some terrorist event. chemical leak, chemical spill, toxic algae bloom. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And that's why I think it's critically important, not just for you to have the tools that you need, but to know how to improvise the tools that you need in case you need to improvise them, right? Jesus said, when you see all these things happening, run for the mountains, right? That's what he said. He said, go to the mountains. Don't even grab your bag. He said, just go, just run. And so then, if that's the case, then the question is, when you get there, are you going to be able to source the water? And if you're able to source it, let's say the rain is acidic, are you going to be able to treat that? Do you understand everything about the different intricacies regarding that topic, right? If the rain is acidic, can you find a base to neutralize it, or a flocculant maybe to kind of get the chemicals out, make them settle, and then let everything on the top come off, and then discard the waste? Do you understand the intricate? Or could you make a distillation device, right? Could you make a kettle, or maybe some kind of solar still, right? Can you turn a plastic bottle into a solar still? It's very easy to do. There's a lot of videos on YouTube regarding that topic and how to do it. I'll just explain it to you, matter of fact, real quick. You cut the bottom part of the bottle off, okay? That's gonna be your cup. The bottom part of this bottle is your cup, right? You put your dirty water in the cup, okay? And then the rest of the bottle, you're about this much of it, you're going to flip inside itself, and then you're going to take this bottle and put it over top of the cup, okay? So what's going to happen is, when the sun beats down on it, the water vapor is going to vaporize up here in the top, and it's going to go down the sides of the bottle. And if you flip the inside, the plastic up inside the bottle, it's going to create like a little reservoir. So when the water condenses on the sides and goes down, it's going to get stuck, and you're literally, so you're the bottom part is where is for your dirty water. So this is going to create, there's going to be like a little U shape of plastic in here. Then you can literally just take the top part, screw the top off, and drink fresh water from the top. Like, that's probably the easiest skill to have, and you can use that just about anywhere, as long as you have a good seal between this top part, the condenser part, and the dirty water part. You need to make sure there's no air gap there when you go to do that, when you go to use that method. You can use that wherever. It's not going to provide gallons and gallons of water a day. We're talking about maybe a few ounces at the most if it's sunny outside, but nevertheless, it's going to be better than nothing. So even if you just have one skill and like a plastic bottle that you carry around with you everywhere, I mean, that's better than nothing. Much better than nothing. Because you could do that with salt water. You could do that with ocean water. It's still going to have some volatile chemicals in there from the ocean water, but it's not going to be like drinking salt water. It's just not. It's going to be adequate for a survival situation. So let me get back to the questions here. 2 Timothy 3:12, New International Version. In fact, everyone who wants to live a godly life in Christ Jesus will be persecuted. You're absolutely right about that. That is the hallmarker of the Great Tribulation, right? It's called a Great Tribulation because the saints will be persecuted, right? Very clear, very clear. You can't be persecuted if you've been raptured, right? If you've been raptured, then before the persecution, then you're not going to be persecuted, right? Makes sense. So sail away, watchman. Yeah, sail away. So do I is sitting over Puget Sound dry rock. So do I. Good then. Sail into the sunset. Sounds awesome. I would be better off paying too much for wintertime heating bills. I could just sail southbound off the Baja for the summer. That would be nice. That'd be real nice. Bye, Will. Bye. Everybody's leaving. All right. Worries me how to have enough for chickens, duck, geese, and gardens. Yeah, yeah. I'm getting a lot of chicken feed from the natural environment out here, feeding it to my chickens, getting them used to it. I've got like I've got 13 chickens that just hatched, and another well, there's 20 bantam eggs that are incubating right now. They should hatch tomorrow. I'm expecting at least 50% of that. So maybe 9, 10 bantams to hatch tomorrow. So we'll see. We'll see. Freedom Restoration Foundation. Thanks for that link, Cowboy Roy. UV lights as long as we have power. Yeah, that's why I also strongly advise that you get some kind of solar powered battery bank. That would be nice to have, so you can always power your reverse osmosis system or your UV lights or whatever. That kind of stuff doesn't require too much to keep operational. Watch for another major earthquake in a few days. You're right about that, Marilyn. We've got another coronal hole facing the earth, and a lot of activity from the sun. You're absolutely right. I just like to say, to stay coastal, really go into different marines and do what I can. If things get bad, then you would sail out. You're right, Watchman. You're absolutely right. I'd rather not be here when it hits the fan, and that's not a terrible idea if you're ready for life on the ocean. If you know what it takes to survive out there, and you've got the tools you need and backups to implement, if those tools get lost or broke or whatever, then yeah, that is not, in my opinion, a bad idea. Not a bad idea at all. Logan's Run, microorganisms and fish plankton. Yeah. I wouldn't be in New York even if someone paid me $1 billion. Yeah, I'd go there for $1 billion. With $1 billion, I'd be able to filter everybody's water. I'd go, give me $1 billion. I'll set up a company there filtering tritium out of the waters. I promise you that. I promise you. I'll take $1 billion. I'll go there for $1 billion. I'll be living in a bunker, but but yes, I'd go there for $1 billion. One to be loved. Planted 4 C buckthorn last fall. I have 25 more ordered. I have to. I got C buckthorn in my collection. I haven't planted it yet though. Earthquakes disrupt water lines. Yep, that's where I'm in the mountains. Let me try to catch up here. It's not a water issue. It'll be the Raiders. Yeah, I'm not so sure, Watchman. We're much stronger as far as physical capability than most people are aware of. There's roughly 80 to 90 million gun owners in the United States. There were 15 million hunting licenses sold just last year, right? And when you take that into consideration, the average hunting rifle that's used in the United States is a Remington 700. So it's either a 308 or a 30-06. So give or take the length of the barrel and the type of load, the average effective range of the American hunter is roughly 500 to 1,000 yards. Now, the average military rifleman has got an effective range of about 300, 400 yards. So just right there, our hunters have a massive reach advantage on the average soldier. And just to put it in perspective, I haven't looked at the numbers recently, but if I'm not mistaken, I think China only has like 2 million personnel that they can use, and then I think Russia's like 1 million, and then we're behind with like 500,000 or something like that. Korea is somewhere there, but they don't have the troop carrying capacity to bring anybody here. We vastly outnumber, and when I say we, I'm talking about the American militia, the average Joe in the United States that has a rifle. If you're an adult male and you have a rifle, you're considered the militia, right? So the United States militia drastically outnumbers not just the largest militaries in the world, not just China, Russia, North Korea, Iran combined, but if you were to take even the top 20, if all nations joined forces to fight us, we still would outnumber them. The top 20 nations, we still outnumber them, and we would have a significant advantage as far as our range, okay, and as far as our ability, our mobility, right? Because the average hunter has a 4x4 or a motorcycle or a four-wheeler or something like that to get it in and out of places so that they can hunt and so that they can carry their deer. And because of that, we are able to get in and out of places fast, and we have a much longer range, right? So yes, we are much more capable. Let's just put it that way, much more capable than we are even aware. We and I say this all the time. We outgun them, literally. We outrun them, literally, and we outnumber them significantly. And that's just the hunters, right? That's just 15 million hunters. Okay, there's also 18 million veterans, right? These are trained, right? Trained veterans in the United States, right? Obviously, there's some overlap between the hunters and the veterans, but then even if every single police officer in the United States, which I don't think would happen, but even if every single police officer in the National Guard worked together to get us in camps or lock us all up or whatever, there's only 1 million police officers in the United States, and there is not even 500,000 military personnel who could activate and try to lock us up or round us up or anything like that. And then, I mean, speaking of the UN is a freaking joke. The UN doesn't even have 70. They don't even have 100,000 soldiers altogether. UN only has a force of like 70. I think it's 60 or 70,000. I mean, if they brought their entire force to El Paso and the patriots in El Paso said no, we could literally wipe the UN off the face of the earth. Just here in El Paso. I mean, there's between El Paso and Juarez, there's 1 million people, and 1/3, or maybe it's more like 2/5 of the population ain't about that. I mean, we're outnumbered here as far as like liberals and conservatives are concerned. Patriots are outnumbered here, but still, it's a big block. I mean, it's quite a few patriots that wouldn't stand for that, and just this city alone, a really small desert city, we would still outnumber the entire force of the United Nations, even if they brought every single one of their soldiers here. So, I'm not scared of them. It would literally be like 300 standing in the gap, and they would have the only way they'd be able to do it is with all their drones. And that's how they got to do it. And all their drones and chemical spills and sabotage, that's what they got to do. That's how cowards fight, and they know that they're outnumbered, they know that they're outgunned, and they're outclassed. That the average hunter, man's well versed around his firearms, well familiar with his firearm, what it takes on a windy day to hit a target 500 meters away. They understand all that. And they got better camouflage than the average soldier, better mobility than the average soldier, better ammo than the average soldier, and better accuracy by far. Right, the average hunter has like a $350 Leupold scope on there on his Remington 700. He can hit a quarter from 500 yards away, while the enemy can't even engage you from 500 yards away. Cannot even return fire unless they have some kind of drone. So, no, I'm not. Bring them out. But anyway, guys, I think that's it. Let me get to questions here at the end. Let's see, we're going on an hour. Look up Bielfelder chickens. The roosters and hens are born a different color. I'll check that out. Daryl Calhoun, Watchman. You could turn a wood stove into a hot water heater easily enough. Yep. Problem with the Patriots is they have no way to communication without eavesdropping, and everybody is spaced out and around. Watchman, I kind of disagree, but I was in Signal Corps. I was in Signal Corps when I was in the Army. So I understand some of the history around the Signal Corps, and some of the technologies that they used to use back around Civil War and World War I. And let's just put it this way, Watchmen, those those methods of communications are still valid today. They never lost their validity on the battlefield. And you know, I'm talking about things like visual signatures, right? So flags, graffiti, notes being passed. These are visual signals that you can give someone. A flashlight at night with a different color lens, which means something. You know, we've got I said flags. Also, you know, wearing different clothes on certain days means something if you walk by a certain location. So, you know, we're talking about clandestine communication here. These things are all still valid forms of communication. And then if you want to talk about audio communication, I mean, a trumpet. Trumpets were used for thousands of years, and the sound carries for miles sometimes. Trumpets are still valid. Whistles can still be used. You know, field phones. You can make a field phone from a set of headphones. I mean, it's simple, and you don't even need a battery to operate those things. That kind of communication can go from one trench to another. Right? You can create a field phone from a set of speakers and use some speaker wire to go from one trench to another, and that stuff's not going to be intercepted. You can't intercept that, right? So if one let's just say trench or foxhole is viewing down this direction, another trench or foxhole is viewing that direction, you guys can alert each other to whatever's coming the way. And you know, if all the foxholes are connected like a spider web with just a bunch of speakers and speaker wire, then you've got a pretty decent communications network that cannot be intercepted. So yeah, no, there are ways to do it, Watchman. You know, there's methods, and even pitch. You know, the one thing about the Mongolian Empire that they did very well was their network of pigeons. Pigeons carried messages over hundreds of miles rapidly, so they were able to get battlefield intel very quickly because of their pigeons. It is still a legitimate form of communications, and a lot of people actually think that the Chinese still to this day use pigeons. Pigeons can carry an SD card, right? And you can encrypt that SD card, right? You can get SD cards that are like 64 gigabytes with encryption on it, and you can put all kinds of information on that thing on the ankle of a pigeon and send it off, and it'll go. Oh, you know, there have been stories about pigeons going over 1,000 miles to carry a message, right? There's one story about a pigeon called Shirami that it took shrapnel. They tried to shoot the pigeon down. The pigeon lost its leg and part of its wing, but it still carried the message. It still got there. You got to check out that story, Shirami. It's spelled Cherami. Very, very interesting story. Very, very, very interesting story. They sent back then they used to train hawks to to get the pigeons down. Nowadays, if a pigeon flew overhead, nobody would know the difference. No, you know, nobody would think twice about it. But you know, you could have all kinds of data on an SD card with that pigeons carrying from one location to another. I mean, yes, like I said, Watchman, there, you know, stay tuned. Subscribe to my channel. Keep watching my videos. I'll talk about that kind of stuff. Like I said, I was in the Signal Corps in the Army for 6 years, so there's a lot about that kind of subject that I know, and I might need to do a prepping prepping videos about that subject as well. But anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in to the live stream. If you like what I do, you like my content, please give me that thumbs up. Leave a comment in the comment section below after this video is posted. Share the video with your families and friends. If you want to help my channel financially, there's a link in the description box where you can buy me a coffee. It'll really incentivize me to continue making these videos and to put out, it'll help me to put out better content. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and as always, don't forget, help out your neighbors. Bye.